Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. Finally came in. It's the Autel Evo 2. 40 minutes of flight time. What? Claimed 9 kilometers of range and fully autonomous 720 degrees. Wow. Really interested to see how really close it comes to that 40 minutes of flight time and really how autonomous this is and if it can crash into anything. You know, I'm going to be testing it. This is the 8K version here. As you might know, with this one, you can change the camera fairly easily. So you can get the Pro version if you want, for if you're more into photography or videography and you want to adjust all those settings and just have the best camera there. Or it has the thermal version. Now this is the 8K version because this one has super high resolution and you can zoom in. So I thought it was pretty cool for the average user, and then you can upgrade if you want. Anyway, we're gonna unbox this today and see how it all boots up, goes together, and connects onto my Android phone on the controller, and just show you all the interface and everything you need to know to get this thing started, how the updating is. So anyway, let's get started with the new Evo 2. Whoops. Just ripped that open. Gosh darn it. By the way, guys, this is the ruggedized version. It comes with a case. I'm going to show you what the ruggedized version comes with. Anyway, it's this nice waterproof case, really rugged case if you're really worried about your drones and you wanted to ship it or carry it on some crazy locations with you. Of course, not that compact with this rugged case. Push thumb latches here. As you can see, it won't open unless you push these down and then you pull them up. And then it's got this little breather valve here if you wanted to keep it super waterproof or open it up so it's got some breathability. Okay, so first time ever opening it up, and there we go, voila. That's as far as the top opens up. It's got that kind of like foam padding in the top, but check it out, there it is. Okay, so here is everything in the rugged 8K combo. Basically, we have one extra battery right here. We're getting a 7100 mAh battery at 11.55 volts. So effectively, that's a high voltage 3S. There is the connector there to charge and put in the craft. Got a couple of little spring-loaded guys here to remove it from the craft. Tell you what, let's take everything out around the drone and then we'll get to the good part. These power bricks or chargers do get pretty hot. I'm going to take all this stuff off. Just like the original Evo, it's got this little flip cap here, and you only can charge one battery at a time. Looks like we're going to have to buy a multi-charger if we want to charge multiple batteries. And here is the wall plug. So of course, regular wall plug with a figure 8 adapter here, and that's going to just go right in, just right into the bottom here. Let's see what we got in this back little pocket here. A bunch of pockets. 2 of the battery pockets weren't used. This big one back here wasn't used. So you got quite a bit of room here to carry about 4 batteries, including the one, there's one in the drone there, and maybe even 5 batteries if you utilize that pocket back there. Anyway, only 2 sets of propellers. Would have been nice to see a whole new set because it looks like we got a set on the drone itself, but depends on how good that obstacle avoidance is, right? If it's super good, then we won't really need many propellers. That's all our manual stuff. Right here, we have some cabling. These are the cables to connect from the controller to the drone. And then it has those like little proprietary little square guys here that kind of like the older DJI stuff used. And the other side that goes into your phone, we've only got a USB-C and a regular micro USB. Not seeing any iPhone cable. So my goodness, did they forget to put it in the box or what? This guy here is just a regular micro USB cable. And that's going to actually plug into the power brick. Right here, there's a little port there for a USB, and we can plug the controller into this and charge it at the same time as we can our battery. Nothing at all left in the pockets aside from the controller and the drone pocket, so let's take out the controller real quick. Look at this. We're going to definitely compare this to the original and also the Mavic Pro 2 and see what the difference is in the size and just a visual comparison. But there's the controller. It's got that screen on the front. We have a clamp. We're going to go over this a little bit more in depth. Flip it over, but it looks very familiar to the first one. All right, and here it is, guys, the Evo 2 in all of its glory. Oh, that's all there is there. I thought there might be some stuff underneath it, but there's just some silica packs there to whisk the moisture away. Probably gonna want to leave those in there. And there's the drone. Let's look at it a little more in depth. Let me get this case off the table. All right, guys, so here it is, the Autel Evo 2, and of course we've got these little propeller guards on here. Just these little bags over the propeller. So I'm going to pull these off first. I guess we'll open this up and get all the plastic off first. So this one, you open the front first, just like that. Look how big this thing is with all those sensors on there. Boy, oh boy. And pulling open the back second. Oh my gosh, I just cannot get over this cluster of sensors here on the top. That's pretty unbelievable. And if you see the Mavic 2 Pro back there and the original Evo, we're going to compare those in just a second to this guy. But let's just take off all this stuff first. Remove it before use. This is coming directly from China. If you guys thought Autel is an American company, an American built, it's I think it's a US company, but this whole pack, this came directly shipped from China. So check it out. We have this little thing here. I'm gonna take this off. And this is actually, these are the two rear sensors. And look at that port for cooling. That's the battery. There's also one in the bag there. This one looks like it's a little bit less charged. I just pushed the button there. We've got some stickers here on how to unfold the arms. That's number 2. And then number 1 is going to be on the front. Unfold these ones first. Of course, you can take that sticker off or leave it on. I usually like to take the stickers off because any little like edge or anything you have to limit airflow is going to affect your flight time. Anyway, let's continue on with the back. I do want to take this sticker off here. This is just a guard for all the bottom sensors and stuff. So while we're taking this off, let's also talk about these bottom sensors. I'm just going to do like a slow pull, and it's actually kind of hugging around onto the side. So we're going to have to pull this off the side and the bottom. Just get this whole guy off. At least they're protecting all these delicate sensors from shipping. Man, this thing has so many sensors. Look at this. 2 sonic sensors here, 2 cameras on the bottom, 2 LED lights on the bottom. These are all hex or actually star screws on the bottom. All these little star screws. Look at all the venting we got. Venting here, both sides. All this venting up here. Looks like this is just to get the airflow. If it's going forward, it just prevents it from hitting the wall. The air can kind of escape here, so we're not hitting that resistance of air. Please do not throw away the gimbal holder. Okay, so if you don't know, usually if you fly drones, you know not to throw this thing away because you're going to want to put that on anytime you're storing this thing or not flying it. So I'm just going to take off this little warning label here. Lots of nice little stickers protecting everything. Going on to the front, we got more stickers here covering the front and the sensors. Actually not covering the sensors, it was just covering this clear material here. So I think that's pretty much all the stickers except for these guys, and you don't really have to take these off. I'm gonna take them off, you know what I mean, just because I'm that kind of guy that likes to take off anything that's gonna hinder my flight. Wow, there's a sticker here on the back of these arms, see that? So I'm just taking off this sticker. That must be just for shipping so the vibration doesn't scratch here on the body, but there is one of these little stickers on both of the front of the arms. And that pretty much does it for all the stickers, except for there's one on the side of the gimbal cover. Probably gonna leave this on because it just shows you how to take this thing off. And then we're gonna squeeze this together. There we go. You just take that off and then squeeze it together. And it seems like the whole thing is kind of popping off, a little tight on the gimbal. But there it is. Now that we have the cover off, let's check out this 8K camera. So there's the lens. 8K Evo 2 26mm f1.8. And it does really look like a solid little camera. It's got that round shape to it. Now remember, this is the one where you can change the camera. I'm not going to do that in here because I don't have the other cameras. But you can pretty easily swap the cameras out, supposedly, and change it to the Pro camera or change it to the thermal camera. So pretty cool, guys. As usual, we have our pitch up and down. That's a maximum up. Let's pull this thing all the way down. Wow, it actually goes all the way back like that. Do you see that? Until it bottoms out. We've got our roll. That's our maximum roll both ways. Boom, boom. And there is our yaw, or our pan, and that one goes farther than 90 degrees. You can see that there. It's going all the way back like that. And then it's, of course, it's dampened with all these little rubber dampers. You see those in there? These little rubber dampers everywhere. So really nice looking and sturdy camera. Also on the top, it's got more dampers way up inside there. Can't really see too good in there, but it's all very well dampened. Really excited to try the zoom on this thing because I think it's got pretty good zoom. And that's the reason I got the 8K version, just because you can really zoom in if you wanted to. So those are the front optical sensors. Not really a whole lot to see there. Let's just inspect it a little more close up. You can see that we have a cool like venting hood on top. Look at this thing. My gosh, you know what? This doesn't even look like it's active. That's just solid plastic there. Bummer. So it's kind of like my Toyota Pro version. It's got this little scoop on the hood, but it's just for looks. No airflow going through there, guys. There's no screen on it. It's just a solid piece of plastic with some little bars. So that's kind of disappointing. Anyway, Autel sign insignia there on the top, little logo. And then we go over to the sensors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See those guys? They're all over the place. We do have a micro SD card opening here. So let's open that up with our fingernail. Ooh, they included a card. Right on, guys. Just a push lock little card. Let's see what this is. Nice. So I mean, a lot of my videos, I complain about them not having a card, but like a lot of the drones, like DJI does not give you any cards. But, you know, I think that's just fantastic. That's really a good move forward. To give you a 32 gigabyte SanDisk Extreme. So I don't know if this is going to do 8K, but at least it'll do 4K. So at least they're meeting you partial way, and so you can get up there, fly, and record some video longer than just one battery's worth. And they give you a card right in there, so that's kind of above and beyond. Right on, Autel. Congratulations for doing that. There's another side here, and it has another one of these same ports, and that is there's a little push button there, a little reset button, and that's a USB Type-C port there. So if you needed to plug in for some reason, all the updates are going to be over Wi-Fi on your phone. But if you did need to plug in, at least there's a port there. Show you how to remove the battery. Really simple. Pushing in these two spring-loaded tabs. They got a really nice grip on the side too. You see that grip there? Really nice finger grip. It just slides out very easily. So the same battery we saw that I showed you before. And let's just look inside here real quick. There's the connector here, the battery connector. You notice all the way at the end, if you guys can see that there, it does have like a grill in the front. So at least the battery compartment is very ventilated. So we're getting air in all directions for the battery. That's good. There is no naming on the motors at all, no writing at all. Here are the propellers opening these bad boys up. They're kind of like those teardrop looking propellers. They look like about 6-inch. There is a light at each arm. The feet do have a nice satisfying little rubber grip here, so they're not going to slide around everywhere. And there's the feet for the front. Much longer feet there. You can see another nice little rubber grip on there. And then another light on the front as well. Let's check out how these propellers go on and off. Are they just push lock? Yeah, so same deal like a lot of the other drones. You just push down, they only can go one way, and then you pull them off just like that. Very, very simple, collapsible propellers. Then you can see very, very easy and similar to other drones. You've got this kind of white on certain propellers. And then on this side on the front, you see how there is no white circle on those propellers. In this case, we're just putting it over the motor shaft just like that. And then we're pushing down and spinning it clockwise and making sure that's locked on. The front are going to be totally the opposite, where we're pushing down and we're spinning clockwise to take off and counterclockwise to put on. Okay, so before we get into the controller, I almost forgot I've got the two drones back there. Let's just close this thing up and compare them real quick with the other ones. As you can see, remember I was talking about before, there you go. So no big deal. If you don't have the stickers on, you just won't be able to close it a certain way. Back in first, top in second. And let's just very, very quickly compare it to, say, first the Autel Evo 1. Side by side, the Evo 1 to the Evo 2. Let's see what we got here. The Evo 2 is kind of bigger in every way. The motors, as you can see, man, they tilt way in a lot more. They're like a little bit off angle. That's going to be to help the flight characteristics. See that back motor too is a little bit to the front. Let's see the length. Get the back perfectly matched up. There we go. The Evo 2 is about 1 inch longer on the front. And here is our height. There we go. So you can see the Evo 2 On the left here, the battery is bigger, so it's higher there. Even the motors are a little bit bigger. So the overall drone in general is definitely bigger than the Evo 1. There's a quick little shot of just the big difference there on the thickness of the head. You see that? Evo 1 here, nice and pretty slimline. Evo 2 is just pretty darn giant compared. But hey, you know what? About 25 minutes of flight time here and 40 if it's what they claim it is here. And has all this obstacle avoidance on all sides. So we'll see if it's worth it. The Evo 2 is even bigger than the Mavic 2 Pro, quite a bit bigger. Kind of bring the camera down here so you can kind of see the comparison there. Highest, second highest, and this is the lowest. So as you know, DJI is very good at really making their drones very efficient, small and light. But this definitely has better sensors, or more sensors at least, than the Mavic 2 Pro, and way more than the original Evo. A little bit of a comparison on the front, and let's see how they look. So really you can see a difference on all of them there. Quite a big difference between these two. Not too much of a difference, the Evo 1 and the Mavic 2, but man, when you get to that massive Evo 2. So really, all in all, you're looking at about an inch larger in all directions with the Evo 2. A little bit more weight, but man, you know what? I'm okay with that as long as it can fit in the same type of bags as the Evo 1. And I want to try that real quick. I want to see if the Evo 2 will fit in the bag the Evo 1 came with. Autel Evo 1 fits in the bag pretty nicely. So you already have the Evo 1 and you want to use the same bag. Let's see if this will fit in. Boy, it's a little bit more of a tight squeeze, that's for sure. No. That's too high, guys. So that extra inch of length is not going to let you fit into the original Evo bag. Okay, so we're almost ready to get into the Evo on the phone and stuff. We just want to look at the controller real quick. So there was a plastic there I just took off. There is one over the antennas. These antennas do not click in, but it looks like they go together just fine. And there's some stuff on the screen too. So let's take off this kind of the screen protector here real quick. Just peel that off. There we go. Some brand new surfaces. I think that's all the plastic. So you've got this phone clamp here that looks like it's only going to fit a phone, you know, like a larger iPhone. No tablets here unless you get some kind of adapter. There's our control sticks. We've got aluminum here with some rubber, similar to other drones. Plastic in the gimbals there. And there's a screen. So the cool thing about the Autel Evo, even the first generation, was you can see the FPV on your screen too. You do not have to fly with the phone if you don't want to, even to have FPV. So that's something that the Autel has over any of the other drones out right now. There's a little grips, hand grips there. A little fan in there, our USB connector here, pop open that up, and there is that little proprietary, not really a proprietary, it's basically a USB micro square, and then there's a regular USB there. We've got our home button, we have our power, we have pause, and then we have takeoff and land. Moving over to the top, you can actually take the bracket off if you want to. There's a little slotted screwdriver there. And then we have our display button here and two rollers. So they actually do have a little bit of a gimbal icon there. So that's how you're going to move your gimbal up and down with the left. And then this over here, Autel has a really cool feature where you can click this in and scroll it left and right. So you can be changing your exposure on the fly. This one you can't click in. We'll do that in the flight test. I'll show you guys that like I did with the Autel Evo 1. There's our camera to take a picture, and then there's our recording. Very simple, just one of each on either side. We also have an A and a B on the back bottom, and just more venting. So here's the antennas. We can just pull them up. That's as far up as we can go, and then we can rotate. If we spin them, they spin quite a bit. We can actually spin them all the way around, and then check this out. We can make it so they go down, so you can have that option for signal also. Keep your antennas down. That might actually be a better way to fly, so it's out of the way of the phone. So good on them for letting you rotate your antennas down. These are like little mini patch antennas. You just want to face that at the drone. And then when you're putting them back together, you just have to spin them farther around to kind of link up, just like that. Let's pull out the original controller, and here it is. Very extremely similar. Gosh, is this the same controller? Yeah, pretty much. So really, guys, comparing the two controllers, really no visible difference whatsoever. It almost looks like the same exact controller. Look at that. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it looks like they're not changing the controller at all. Possibly a little bit of change in the electronics inside, but as far as visibility goes, no difference whatsoever. So maybe a little bit of a con there. Would have been neat if they could have changed the design a little bit. So that shows us that they're just trying to keep it simple and saving some money on no design change. All right, guys, well, I really do think that that is pretty in depth on at least the hardware aspect of this. I'm going to charge the battery in the drone, charge it on the controller too, make sure we have fully charged batteries before we do anything, and get my phone up on the controller and show you the interface close up and how all that looks and explain everything for you. I want to say that it took about an hour to charge both the controller and the battery at the same time. We're just going to slide in this battery, pushing in, we get a satisfying click. We know that thing's in there. So we're just going to take our little controller cable, our double-ended cable here, and we're finding that little square port and plugging it right into the controller right there on the bottom. And this guy's coming over from the bottom and plugging in to the side. Before I plug this into the side, let's power everything on. I'm just gonna press and hold the controller. No press and hold. You just do a constant press and hold. You don't have to let off. So it's powering up, it's ready for connecting. Now with the drone, we're just holding in this back power button. And you don't have to press and hold. I'm gonna turn it around here so you can see that gimbal. We got some noises. So you saw how quick that was. We already have a ready to go on the screen. The controller is definitely bound to the craft. So I do have my original Autel Explorer app on here, guys, from the original Autel Evo 1. So let's just see if I have everything on, and let's just plug in and see if it possibly recognizes that Autel Evo app. I felt a little vibration, but nothing's really happening yet. Let's just go ahead and launch it. See what happens. Yeah, so it's saying it's disconnected over at the top. So I'm wondering if this old app is even going to work at all. Okay, and what is actually interesting here, guys, is I do have that original Autel Explorer app on my phone, like you just saw. But when I go into the Android App Store, now this is the OnePlus 6T phone, just to let you know. I go into the App Store and check it out. It tells me I can install the Autel Explorer app. So apparently they have possibly a different app, but named the same. Uninstall it and see if by uninstalling it and reinstalling the new Evo app, if we can get it to work. So app is freshly installed. And now let's plug in that same cable. There we go. Open Explorer to handle Starlink app always. Okay. That's better. So now it's giving us the choice Evo 1, Evo 2. So I'm going to select Evo 2. Unfold the remote control. Just giving a little tutorial here. Unfold arms. Yes, yes, yes. Long press the power button on the rear. We did that. It's already on. There we go. So we need to sign into our Autel account. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so once you sign in, it's asking us to bind to the aircraft. So you're basically just binding your email to this new aircraft. So we're going to bind it here, and that kind of adds it to your account. And allow to make and manage phone calls. Well, you're gonna have to figure out if you wanted to do all this stuff. Definitely wanted to know our device location so we can use those GPS functions. I'm only gonna allow while using the app. Photos and media, gonna need to allow that, and record audio, go ahead and allow it. Okay, so that's what you gotta do, guys. And it's saying there's a new firmware. If we go into camera, let's just see if it has. Okay, it just said self-checking. Let's tap OK. Combination sticks to start motors. So this one you can push them down and in to start. And if we slide over, there's all our controls there on our sticks, just the basic controls. And I'm not going to show it again. There we go. So there is our video. If you guys can see my left hand here on the screen in front of the camera, let's see how our video is. Slightly choppy. You see how it's not like super smooth? Let's see what the lag is. So a little bit more lag than say something like DJI. And I don't know, it doesn't seem as smooth as it should be for some reason. A little bit choppy. I guess we'll see how that is in like the flight tests and stuff. Anyway, here it is, guys, our main screen. Now I haven't used my Evo 1 for a while. Ever since I did that kind of, I think I did like an 8 months later flight test or a 1 year later flight test. And I haven't even used it since then. So this is looks very familiar to me, especially the screen here on the controller. We can see a lot of the same information we can see on the screen. And remember, you don't have to fly this with your phone. If you only have the controller, you can fly it. You're just not going to have all the options as you do with the phone connected. Flight time, battery time on the drone, height and our distance in meters. Hopefully we can change that to imperial. And we have our kilometers per hour over here between pictures and video here. So I'm pressing that. That's going into pictures. That's going into video. If we press on this one up here, it's going into your internal storage, the SD card on the craft, internal storage, and then of course your phone storage. And it's going to list all the stuff there. That's kind of like our gallery. It does have HDR you can turn off and on really simply from right there. You press on this top bar, you see how we're getting another bar of information coming down. So it's saying vision is on. We have 14 satellites. There is our controller to the drone connection, and there's our video connection. And we have 92% power left on the drone. And there's our voltage, 12.96. Kind of neat. Let's press on this intelligent photo here. And that looks like our intelligent flight mode. So we have quite a few of them now. Manual flight, dynamic track, tripod track, parallel track, viewpoint, orbit, gesture control, precision flight, dual stability, and VR. So you have quite a few more options with this new app than you did the original. I remember the original only had like about half of these. So quite a few more things we can do. And it's saying the aircraft didn't take off. So it needs to take off before you can use those functions. Interesting. So I just accidentally pressed the bottom B button here on the bottom of the controller. And look what happens. I press it. And it kind of activates this voice recognition. It's listening to me. So apparently with this one, you can give it voice commands if you wanted to. You can do things like take off, land, switch modes. Let's try this top left roller. That's going to be for the gimbal. And we're just going to watch the drone here. I know it's a little bit out of focus, but I'm just, moving the gimbal a little bit. This is full up. Yeah, look at that choppy video, man. So a little bit disappointed. I mean, this is not a low power phone. This is a 64-bit, pretty high power performance phone. Let's talk about a few things on the actual controller. So we have our height, distance, speed, our gimbal here. So if we do roll that gimbal there, you can see how it's telling us what angle the gimbal's at. So kind of a neat, some of the similar specs, but also some different ones. I totally almost forgot to show you this, guys. On the bottom here, there is a little arrow icon. If you press that, that brings you into all of your camera settings. So by default, it's 4K resolution here. So if I hit 4K, we can go down to 2K or 1080. We can slide over to the right, and we can go up 6K to 8K. So if I did click on 8K here, let's see what happens. There we go. And you can also use this roller on the top. I'm also moving this roller around, and it's selecting the different things. Just like the original Evo, and then if you press it in, it chooses the selection. So right now it's at 8K. I can move over to frame rate. 8K is only 25 frames per second, it looks like it can only do. Let's go into 6K and let's see what we can choose. All right, so this one we can go up to 30, in 6K. If we go to 4K, which probably most people are going to be using, and we go to frame rate, this one we can go all the way up to 60 frames per second max and select it. We have our video format, MP4 or MOV. Exposure, you have auto, manual, or shutter priority. We have our EV. If you just wanted to adjust this on your own, your exposure value, you can do that. And remember, I'm doing this all with the roller, so a pretty good option here. Continuing on, going to white balance, auto, or manual. There we go. There's our digital zoom. So that's what I was kind of looking for. I know me sitting on the couch probably isn't the best thing to zoom in on, so let's change it over here. So I'm going to click on digital zoom, and let's start zooming in. Wow. That's 2 times, 3 times, 4, 5. Man, look how clear that is. Sorry, I had the phone up, but look how clear that is. 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's the 8 times zoom. So the picture is going to be much clearer than the last Evo, because remember, this does 8K. I want to change it to 8K resolution. Remember this? So maybe we can have a better zoomability. And then what I want to do is I want to change my gimbal to be able to rotate up a little bit. See the gimbal pitch limit? I usually leave it stock, but I want to be able to rotate up and really adjust that zoom into that picture up there. So see, now when I push up on the gimbal, you see how I can go up 30 more %, right? So I'm pushing up, and I just want to zoom in on that picture. This will be kind of neat. So if we just really quickly scroll over to the right real fast, and we go to our digital zoom, and let's zoom in. Let's see how this works. So yeah, rotating the camera up, and oh yeah, that's a picture of my family there. So let's see how clear it is in 8K zooming in. I mean, this is about, I want to say about 30 feet away. And there you go. So that's the digital zoom. And then, of course, we can still move the camera up and down. Yeah, great. So that's working really good. That's from all the way in, and let's zoom all the way back out. Okay, continuing on. Autofocus. We have a color choice if we wanted to. So you can choose like color tones, you know. There's log, black and white, nostalgic. Looks like those are the 3 color choices you have. So if you guys do a lot of post-process editing, there is your log function there. I'm just going to leave it on none for now. And then we have style. So you have different styles of kind of color grading built in here. Manual PIV, picture interval, I would assume that is. So you can change your intervals. And that's as far as we can go over to the right. What I want to do is go into the settings, guys, and just really see what we can change in here. So the first tab it's on over here is flight control on the left. It's in novice mode, and that's kind of like the beginner mode. So I'm going to take that off, don't show again, and press OK. Flight mode here, we have standard and ludicrous mode. Ludicrous mode is like sport mode, right? Okay, and visual obstacle sensors do disable there. You can see how obstacle avoidance is now disabled. And it says it can go 54 kilometers per hour. I want to go into general real quick and see if we can change those units. There we go. So I went into general. I want to change to imperial. And now it changed everything. It changed on the controller here into like mile per hour and distance, feet. And also it's going to be changing on the app up here. So since I'm in the USA, I do like my imperial units. So we're going to go back into the flight control. It says it can go 34 miles per hour in ludicrous, and in standard mode it's going to go 22 miles per hour by default. But let's see if we can click on that, and you see how you can choose between 11 and 22 on standard. If you do change to ludicrous, gotta wait for it to switch, and you press the miles per hour, you can go up to 45. I'm not sure why you'd want to go into ludicrous unless you're going to go as fast as possible. So I'm going to put it up to 45. In standard mode, I'm going to leave it at 22. That's likely the most efficient speed the craft can fly at. Continuing on here, altitude limit, 2,625 feet is our height ceiling. You don't want to go over 400, but technically, like if you need to get over an object like hill or a mountain or a building, you can go up to 400 feet above that building as well on ground level. So we won't be able to get over that if we don't change this. So I'm going to change it to the 2625, which it's saying is its maximum altitude. Of course, it gives you a warning. Click through that. Distance limit on by default. I'm going to turn this off. By default, it's 1,640 feet. You know we're going to do a range test, so I'm going to turn that off for sure. There's a compass calibration. Definitely do the compass calibration on your first flight in your flying field, away from any interference. Boat mode, check this out. You'd think boat mode is going to return back to the controller, but it's saying in boat mode, take caution as the aircraft will hover static regardless of boat speed. Be aware the home point will not update automatically and is set at the point of takeoff. Okay, I'm definitely going to take that off. You would think in boat mode it would be hardwired just to return to the controller, since your boat's not going to probably be in the same spot. So kind of confusing there. Let's go into the advanced settings and then we'll move on to the next category. So we have our exponential and our front LEDs. You see them over there, how they're red on the drone. We can turn those off if we just click that. Let's just try that real quick. Yeah, see how those LEDs came off? So kind of like stealth mode there. Huh. You don't want to have those on. Exponential, that's just if you want a different feel for your controlling curve, you can change the expo. So that's everything in the flight control mode, guys. I know this is going to be kind of long and boring at times, but I just like to go through everything. Let's go into visual navigation and visual obstacle avoidance. So that's on. When it detects an object, it will hover, so it just stops. Omnidirectional, including front, back, side, down, left, and right. However, there might exist some blind spots. Okay, well, that's not very reassuring. Please do not fly in an environment with insufficient light. Okay, so it needs pretty good light to use all the sensors. Kind of like the Skydio. Remember, the Skydio needs light in order to even take off. All right, show radar map. Yeah, I like to see the radar map so we know where we're facing and where the drone is. Auxiliary bottom light. All right, so those two LEDs on the bottom that we saw when we were inspecting it, those will turn on automatically whether it's landing or low light. It looks like you can change it. Wow, you can change it to flash too, so that's pretty cool. That's kind of neat. That's like a requirement for kind of night flying to have some flashing if you can do some night flying. And let's go into advanced settings. So downward vision positioning, landing protection, that's on by default, and that will let you know if the ground is unsafe to land. And accurate landing, so I guess that's the precision there. We'll land as close as possible to the home point. So of course I'm going to leave all these on for our initial flight test so we can see how that's working. So that's everything in the visual navigation setting over to the left. We're going to go on to remote control. Don't need to do a calibration unless it's a little weird. I like the mode 2, but as you can see, check it out. You can change from mode 1, mode 2 to mode 3. So it just switches your controls around. Guys can take a look at that if you want to know how you can switch it to control your craft. What this is saying is the left stick does that, the right stick does that. Remote control matching, that's just kind of binding the control if for some reason it loses bindage. Now let's go into the next one, image transmission, and check it out. We have a graph. I've got a blue 2.4 gigahertz on top. Can't do anything with that. I was thinking we could click it. But there is our graph of interference, and it's just going to be choosing frequency it thinks it's the clearest. Just like other drones do broadband settings. Wow, so you can choose if you want to. It's 5, 10, and 20 megahertz. Image transmission mode, smooth. That didn't seem very smooth, did it? Smooth and high definition. So I'm going to leave it on smooth because I'm afraid the high definition will be even more choppy. Let's go to the aircraft battery. In this menu, we can see our total voltage, the voltage of each single cell, temperature of the battery, remaining capacity. So we're just burning up some little bit of battery power sitting here and talking about this. discharge times. I haven't flown it yet. Critically low battery warnings. I like to bring these kind of down. So the first one's going to come on at 25%. The second one's going to come on at 15%. So if I bring these as far down as they can, that brings it to 15 and 8%. Time to discharge. So this has an automatic discharge. It's set at 6 days by default. You can change that from 1 to 10 days. So if your battery is just sitting there fully charged, you can make it auto discharge that amount of time. We're going to the gimbal tab. Gimbal mode, stabilized, and FPV. FPV is just, it's going to tilt. The camera's going to tilt with the craft, so you get more of like a flying, a fixed wing type of fixed camera deal, not really a stabilized camera for the horizon. Automatic calibration. Pitch limit. You can make the camera pitch higher than the horizon, 30% or 30 degrees. And then the gimbal pitch sensitivity. So remember the gimbal back there, this is how fast it's kind of tilting. You can adjust that speed right here. All we have left, guys, is general tab. If you're on a boat, you definitely want to hit me, right? Because you want it to, if your boat's moving, you want it to come back home and land on your boat or close to you. At least come back in the vicinity of where you are. You can change that if you want. Also, it says aircraft. Hit aircraft and it will relocate the home point to wherever your aircraft is. So say you're flying over your friend's house, you want it to return there instead of where you launched from, maybe a mile away, who knows. You hit aircraft right over your friend's house and it'll return there if the battery dies or something. Show aircraft coordinates if you want. So if you want it to have like a SARS feature, right? Search and rescue. You can have that on, so wherever the aircraft is on the screen, you'll have those coordinates. So that's good for search and rescue kind of guys. So that's everything in the menu, guys. I'm going to X out of this, and I want to go back into the main part of the Explorer app. Remember that? Let's go through a quick little upgrade real quick. Now remember, this sometimes doesn't come up unless you wait at this screen about a minute, so make sure you do that. By the way, before we do that, I almost forgot, this can do waypoint missions. So see how you can do waypoint, rectangular, or a polygonal. And this is kind of neat. If you just wanted it to fly a route within like a rectangle you draw on the screen or a polygon. And of course we can change it to satellite map, working very good. That's great. Rectangular waypoint flight there. So say you want to create a project. You see that? That's pretty neat, huh? So this would be great for doing imagery or land surveying, because look at that. It does an entire route back and forth, and it's actually giving you pictures of what to do. So this is an app that you would have to get extra if you had like a DJI product, but they have this all built in to the Autel Explorer, which is really awesome. I'm not going to save this mission. We're going to go back and let's just start this update. So upgrading now. So let's just go ahead and download it and see what happens. Okay, so it's downloading pretty quick. That ticker on the bottom is going about 2% per second. Okay, so it stops and we have to actually physically press start uploading. Looks like it might take a while. We actually get some information on the screen as well of the controller, as well as up here. So at least you know double duty what's going on there. It looks like this one's going about 1% every 2 seconds. So I'll come back to this when it's almost done. Okay guys, so rounding out the update, we're at 98%. Keep in mind you can see the yellow lights blinking on the back while it's doing an update. So you don't want to move it or disconnect it or do anything. Just let it do its thing. And sent firmware successfully. Check upgrade status of remote control. So looking down here and estimated remaining time. Okay, so we have another gauge coming up here, so we're going to want to let it do that. It does let us know it's got about 6 minutes left. Okay, so as this has been going, it's about 25% done. Notice the aircraft, you can hear it there in the background, started to blink, beep actually. All I did was press OK on that one notification and went back to the Evo Autel Explorer main screen, but it's beeping, so just definitely want to have some patience and maybe do this when you're not around a baby sleeping because it's going to make this sound. So anyways, I guess it's going to make this for a while and I'll check in when it's done. Okay, beeping stopped. I'm just checking in and the lights are kind of flashing faster behind it in yellow. So I guess I was anticipating it was going to beep for a lot longer, but looks like the beeping stopped. So that's another significant change to the update. And we'll keep it going. We're at 44% complete. Okay guys, so a little update. The main controller screen just went into an extracting notification. And that was like, I want to say around 65% complete. So you can see how it just has this extracting logo on there. So I'm just going to leave it here for a second and see what kind of other progress we can see. But keep in mind, just like other drones, guys, you're going to want to designate one of your first batteries. I did get 2 batteries with this rugged combo, remember, but you're definitely going to want to designate one battery just for doing these updates when you first get it and familiarizing yourself with, you know, all this stuff and making sure you get it up and running. There we go. So it went to an update with another meter on the controller screen, and now you can see it's going quicker. It's going about 2% per second again, and we're just going to let this run through its course. Again, I haven't touched anything. All I did was click that initial pop-up that said OK when we started the update. There we go, update successful. Looks like the controller is now rebooting. Yep. Controller's rebooting. The drone's just sitting there with its yellow lights blinking. And it says upgrade successful, reboot RC and aircraft before use. So I'm just going to do what it tells me to do and reboot both items and go from there. Hopefully the final part of the update. All right, ready to go. That's awesome that the app just connects all, even if you have all the cables already in. Remember, like I was saying, it takes about a minute for it to give you a notification if there's an update. And I think the reason they do that is so you can just go ahead and fly if you want to without dealing with any updates. Of course, with Autel, it's always a choice to do updates. You're not forced to do any updates to fly, so that's pretty awesome compared to other drones. All right, so I gave it a minute, guys, and it looks like that is all we got to do. We're ready to go. We're ready to fly. Just keep in mind that you do want to designate, like I was saying, a full battery to this process when you first get it and set it up. Guys, I almost forgot to show you how you can actually put the screen into FPV mode and fly this completely without your phone up here on the top. If you didn't want to have any bracket here, you can go ahead and just unscrew this little screw. You see that there on the bottom? It's just a flathead screw. Take off this whole bracket if you wanted to, and you can fly the entire craft without a phone or anything. Now you're not going to have all those advanced functions like I was saying, but I just wanted to show you how to get into that. And at any time, if you just press this display button, hit that display, and look what happens. We went right into the FPV mode, and you have all of the similar menu options. It's not a touch screen, so I can't touch any of this stuff here. There is our obstacle avoidance grid you can turn off or on. So the way I'm going to get in the settings, guys, is just moving this right roller here. And you can see as I start to roll it, we can get through your basic functions. Right now it's in auto, and we can adjust the EV if we wanted to. And you can see how I'm just clicking that in and adjusting the EV settings on the fly with this right roller. Click it in again, and then we can go into auto and change our exposure mode to manual or shutter priority. So I'm going to leave it in auto, just click in again. Now that's kind of the only things you can do right off the front screen here unless you go into the settings. So I'm scrolling over to the right, clicking in that top button again. And here we go. We have our full-fledged menu. Of course, it's not quite as many items as the original menu, but you can see how I'm scrolling over the tabs with that same right roller over on the top. If we click into one of the tabs, and it brings us down to each mode, and we can do these adjustments. All you can do is scroll up and down and then select a setting, but going back just hits display. And then going back to the tabs, we'll go on the drone menu here. As you can see, novice mode, go home altitude. So you can still adjust all this stuff without even having a phone on there, which is very unique compared to any other drone on the market. And that's what's very unique about the Autel Evo series. Also, it doesn't have those no-fly zone restrictions. It'll still let you fly if you're on the fringe, or if there's maybe a retired airport nearby that everybody has problems with DJI in those situations. This won't give you that problem. And also the updates. You never have to update this to fly. It always gives you that option when you go into the app. The visual avoidance, you can turn that off or on. Show radar map. That was that radar on the screen. So if you don't like seeing that, you can turn that off. And that was, remember, if I go back again, remember that circle of radar showing you the obstacles, that has now disappeared. So you can do a lot of the functions, but not nearly as much as if you have a smartphone or a smart device on there. So I'm just hitting back again, and we'll go right back into our display mode. I have not seen any other drone do this, where in their standard controller they have a screen here with the option to put on a smart device. Now keep in mind that if you do fly with this screen, I remember with my first Evo drone, I went ahead and just did like a range test with this off camera. I was just testing it out. And I remember that I kind of landed in the golf course near my house. I had to kind of bail, land in the golf course because the wind came up. And I had to go look for it because without the app and your smart device, it seemed like there was no kind of find my drone feature. So keep that in mind. If you're only using this thing, you're really not going to have those advanced features where it's tracking and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if they fixed that, but that was one of my main complaints I expressed to Autel, was that if you're just using the controller, you didn't have that tracking function if you lost your drone. I'm not sure if they updated that, or if now if you lost it and you put your phone on, if it kind of saved the log maybe in the controller and you can find that, but it didn't in the Autel Evo 1 series. Smartphones are pretty expensive. Not everybody has them, not everybody likes to have them attached to their device. So this is a very unique and good option. Of course, DJI does have that advanced controller now with the screen, but that is really expensive. That's like an extra purchase, and that is something like around $800, $600 to $800. So who's gonna buy a drone and then buy that advanced controller with the screen built in for another $600 to $800? That's just ridiculous. I hope you enjoyed that. We went over a lot of stuff in this video. We inspected this really in depth, went through all the functions of the app. I showed you how to connect everything up and do the initial update. And I hope you enjoyed that and really learned from that. And you can come back to this video if you are having some trouble. Remember, one of the main issues we had was having the original Evo app in there already for the Evo 1. Had to uninstall that and reinstall the new Evo app, even though there didn't seem to be any difference that I could see from one app to the other. The icon was all the same. So hopefully that helps you out. And don't forget, guys, we're doing a full series of videos on the Evo 2. The next flight will be a review flight in the park. We're going to test all the functions. We're going to test the tracking and the avoidance as well in the park. See how well it does compared to the other drones out there. We're also going to be testing in that flight the camera quality in all the different settings like HDR, 4K, 6K, 8K. Also, this has the zoom in the 8K. So we're really going to just test this thing in depth. Remember, I have 2 batteries, so we're not going to be limited to battery in our flight test. We're going to go through all of the options and see what they all do. And then you may know my range test, so we're going to do full extensive range tests on this thing, try to get really how far it can go in a no-wind situation and a country situation, possibly an urban situation, up to close to 0% power. I do like to see how good of cinematic shots I can get. Over here I'm in Hawaii, and I like to see if I can get some cool shoreline video and really how they do. So we're going to do all those, guys, so stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. There's a stormtrooper over there on the right. Click him, hit subscribe, and also click on your notification bell when you do subscribe so you're notified when the next video comes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, links to the Evo 2 in the description, as well as the gear I use in all my videos. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.